Today we are going to mainly talk about the mistakes that people commit on letter writing. What we are going to do is I'm going to take one semi-formal task to start off, and then we'll review few common mistakes in these semi-formal letters. So the task that is given over here is very similar to what we have done yesterday. Alright, so since it is very similar, I thought that we'll start with this one. Probably you might have tried writing that particular task yesterday, and you might have committed these mistakes, or even if you have not committed these mistakes, you might have thought about it, or this could be a particular way of writing the letter. So the task is you need a leave for some personal reasons from your office. Obviously, write a letter to your manager. In your letter, tell about the duration of leave, explain the reason, offer a plan to compensate for your leave. Write at least 150 words. You do not need to write any addresses. Begin your letter as follows: Dear blank. Let's get into this semi-formal task specifically that we will be talking about. Okay. So the situation is you need leave from your office for a personal reason. Write a letter to your manager. Tell about the duration of leave. Explain the reason. Offer a plan to compensate for your leave. Very regular letter. Probably you have written it number of times. Let's look into that. So this is one of the samples written by the previous students in the class. I have not revealed the actual identity, so don't worry about that part. He was there probably 3 years ago, and I would like to take that particular sample to explain this part. Now, dear Pat, I am writing this letter to inform you regarding my request for taking few hours of time off from work on 25th, which is on coming Monday. Now, in this case, what he has done is he has written only the reason for the leave. Why does he need the leave? The problem with this particular sentence is it has three ideas. I want leave, I want it on 25th, and which is on Monday. So basically, if you could avoid writing 25th, which is on coming Monday, I mean that sounds a bit ridiculous. I mean 25th is Monday, right? Which is on coming Monday is a bit of an issue. That's not how we write it. That's not how we write it. Okay, so don't say that 25th, which is on coming Monday. That's an issue. Also, since you have such a long statement, it's very difficult to understand what do you want to say exactly. Now, coming to the next paragraph. The reason for this downtime is need to visit my daughter's school to complete the admission formalities for her next grade. Since it is the last day to take admission, this has become an urgent task for me. I would leave the office at 1 p.m. Now the problem over here is very specific. The first instruction is tell about the duration of leave, and the second instruction is about explain the reason. In this case, this person has put these both things together first. Second, he has combined these instructions. Now, I can understand that when you talk about the duration of the leave, it could happen that you may not be able to come up with too many ideas. There could be simply just one idea. So it is necessary that you talk about the duration at the beginning of the paragraph. At least do that if you're going to write one paragraph for these two instructions. My suggestion is don't do that. In case you are going to do it and you realize that there is only one sentence for that particular paragraph or that particular instruction that you can come up with, at least ensure that you write about the first instruction first and the second instruction second. Writing it over here is a bit of an issue. Why it is an issue? You have just said that I need some time off the work on 25th. And when you put this particular sentence at the beginning of the paragraph, it would make much more sense if you talk about when exactly you want to leave the office. And then you can clearly, naturally say the reason for this downtime is. Actually, you can't say downtime is. Downtime is not the regular English word that we should use in our letters or in our formal or semi-formal letters. Downtime could be for machines, not for people. So try to avoid IT jargons or the jargons which are used in your industry. Is that fine? Any questions till this point of time? Second thing that I want to point out over here is to take the admission. You don't take the admission. Probably you secure an admission. Idiomatically, that's incorrect. Take the admission. All right. So don't write anything like that. And this has become an urgent task for me. This is also not a nice way of writing. This is not how a native speaker would use English. So try and avoid doing such things or writing such things in your letter. All right, let's move on. How should this particular or these two particular paragraphs be? You could simply say, Dear Pat, I hope you remember that last week I had informed you about my tentative plan to take time off on 25th of this month. So what are you doing in the first sentence? You are establishing a follow-up, a short follow-up based on the situation. I am writing to formally request for the same. What is this? This is the purpose of the letter. Then you say, I won't be able to attend the office for the whole day. What is that? That is the duration of the leave. Because I am going to visit my daughter's school in order to secure her admission in the next grade. So you see, I have written, I won't be able to attend the office for the whole day first, because this explains the duration of the leave and it gives the reason to the examiner why are you not coming to office on that particular day. Second thing is, if you write you're going to take half day or something like that, my suggestion is you mention it very clearly. Over here, if you just say that I would be leaving the office at 1 p.m., that's very awkward. It's very difficult to judge for a person if it is not very clearly given whether you are taking leave or what's the matter. It's better if you say that I am writing this letter to request for the same I'm writing to formally request for the same. I won't be able to attend the office for the whole day. You're clearly saying that I want this leave or I want this particular day off. And then you give the reason in very simple terms. Right. Unfortunately, the school has offered a very narrow time frame for the admission process, and so I must be there. So rather than getting into awkward sentence structures by saying that this has become an urgent task for me, you can simply say that unfortunately the school has offered a very narrow time frame, rather than saying that is the last day and that's why I want to do that. Your boss might say, okay, if it is the last day, what are you doing till this point of time? You can just go on some weekend, Saturday morning, and get that thing done. So rather than that, you can simply say that the time frame that is given is quite narrow and I have to be there on 25th. Alright, you need not explain anything else. Now, coming back to the letter of the student, if you remember, the student left it, I would be leaving the office, not even be. I would be leaving the office at 1 p.m. That's where he is starting this part. So just for your reference, I've put this line over here. I fully understand the importance of start of week And since we are having important presentation of our new client, so here is a big issue. I mean, transition from this to this. Uh, I mean, I can't just make out how did you go from explaining about the time duration of the leave to I fully understand the importance of start of week. This is a very general statement, it doesn't tell anything about your writing or your work. If you're writing something like this, the examiner's impression about you is you have not thought about the letter at all and you have just written it without thinking about how overall flow of the structure is going to be. In this case, it could be true. And if the structure does not align with each other, or the overall structure doesn't align with the points that are in there, it becomes an issue. All right. And the second sentence or second part of the same sentence is, and since we are having important presentation of our new client, this is also an issue. Whenever you have since, and if you are using it at the beginning of the sentence or beginning of a clause, you must give since plus reason and the result. The result over here is absent. It is missing from this sentence, which is definitely a worrisome issue. Alright, so this sentence is incorrect. If you're using sentence with since, just to give you an idea, you should have since, reason, I'm sorry, no comma after since, but after the reason, and then you should write the result, then full stop. In this case, this person does not do any of these things, and that's why it's an issue. All right. Amit, now moving on. Amit, who is my colleague, is aware of all the latest happenings. First of all, again, this transition, important presentation of a new client. Okay, before I move to this Amit guy, let me tell you important presentation of a new client. Are you going to present to the client or the client is going to present to you? Normally you present to the client. Client doesn't present to you. So that also could be an issue conceptually over here. Alright, and then from client, how do you go to Amit? I mean, there is no smooth transition over here as well. The ideas are not cohesively bound with each other. Amit, who is my colleague, is aware of all the latest happenings. Again, latest happenings is not something that you would write in an office letter. Alright, you should try and replace that particular phrase by something else. We are going to look into it on the next slide. Okay, continuing after that, he was also involved with me while preparing the slides. Now, if you are preparing the slides, why should the new client present to you? Again, you are self-contradicting a lot within your own ideas. I have explained him with every little information and asked him to take the charge until I resume the office. Again, every little information is not the way you write in office. That's very inappropriate. You should use some very definite words so that you are able to clearly communicate what is exactly the case. I will also be available over call to support. Now, again, you are, self-contradicting. You have just said he will be able to take the charge until I resume the office. And then you yourself are saying I will be available over call to support. That's an issue again. I mean, you should at least use some cohesive device which says that in worst case or in case of any emergency, I will be available over the call to support. That at least makes some sense. Otherwise, if you write like this, the transition of ideas is a big issue. awaiting your response. First of all, there should not be any comma after awaiting. This is exactly how the person has written, and that's why I've put it over there. Then yours faithfully, ABC. Now remember, first of all, you have started the letter with Dear Pat. You have started the letter with Dear Pat. Alright, you can't write, sign off your letter with yours faithfully. You can't do that. Remember that part. The next thing is, he has not requested. If you remember, if this is the future contact, you must have a request. The person has not requested the manager to grant the leave. I mean, that would be very much common sense to do, right? That would be something which is very obvious, and then you must thank the manager, probably in advance, or you can simply write thanking you. All right. ABC I've written just to conceal the identity of the student. I could not think about any other name at that point of time. That's why I've put ABC over here. So don't read too much into it. You must write the full name. You may write a fictional name. You may write your own name. That's not an issue. How the a better letter should look like. Okay. You can say, I mean, we had written, if you remember, the last sentence was, unfortunately, the school has offered a very narrow time frame for the admission process, and so I must be there. We will be continuing from that particular sentence. As far as my office duties are concerned, so you are switching from the duty towards your daughter to the office duties. Alright. So as far as my office duties are concerned, I will work on coming Saturday to compensate for the probable loss of work. So you are clearly saying that I will be working extra to compensate for the overall thing. Also, so you are saying that in the same endeavor to compensate for the work, also my teammate Amit is aware of all developments, it should be S, and can handle any last minute issues on the day. So if he is capable, if he is aware first of all developments and can handle last minute issues, you need not be available on the phone or for the overall meeting. I request you to approve my leave. A very formal request must be there. Otherwise, what action would the manager take? I mean, if you have not put it, you must put it like this. I am awaiting positive response. Thanking you. Kind regards, ABC or whatever again then I could come up with the name over here. Alright. Any questions on this particular thing that we have discussed, this sample that we have discussed? I hope I was clear on the typical mistakes that people commit. Alright. Okay. Alright, so we'll move forward and then we'll get into one informal letter. Alright. You are visiting your friend who lives in a foreign country. Write a letter to this friend. In your letter, ask suggestions on what should you gift her family, inquire about the weather there, invite suggestions for the local activities. Write at least 150 words. You do not need to write any addresses. Begin your letter as follows: Dear blank. This is a clear-cut informal letter because you are writing to your friends. Again, I am going to read and we are going to analyze one sample letter by the previous students, and then we will see how can we correct it. Alright, so here is one sample letter. Dear Priya, how are you? It's been a year we have not met. I hope this letter will bring wellness. I mean, who writes like that? That's not how exactly native speakers write. This letter brings wellness or will bring wellness. I'm not sure whether you should be writing these things or not. I received your invitation last week and before reaching to Canada would like to have some information. I mean, before reaching to Canada, who is reaching Canada? There's no intention of this writer to reach Canada before this, and directly this person is saying before reaching Canada, would like to have some information. Second thing is invitation. I have received your invitation last week. Invitation for what? That is also not very clear. Had the author written that okay, the invitation to visit Canada or the invitation to visit your house in Canada, I would like to have some information. That would have at least made some sense, but this doesn't make any sense. It just confuses the reader. Second thing is this how are you is simply one of the polite questions that we ask. It could be treated as simple greetings for your friend. You can, I mean, you have to write this, and after that you have to write a short follow-up in just one sentence. These are too many sentences, too many ideas. This just distracts the reader or the examiner. I hope this first paragraph is quite clear to everyone. Now, if you go to the first instruction, it says ask suggestions on what should you gift her family. Please advise me on gift. Which gift? There is no, reference to this particular sentence. I mean, from when I'm reading this first paragraph or the introduction, and then I switch to the first paragraph, first body paragraph, I would expect that there is some connection. This particular sentence, I mean, I have to think as an examiner, okay, this gift must be for the family of the friend who lives in Canada, somebody called Priya. Otherwise, it's very difficult just after reading this to make any connection between the introduction and body paragraph 1. Please advise me on gift. What should I bring from India for you and your family? Now, isn't these two things one and the same? I mean, there's hardly any difference, right? You are asking for an advice for a gift, and then you are saying, what should I bring for you and your family? Sentences are different, but the ideas are repeated. It's the festive season, so traditional clothes are cheap these days. Again, there is no connection over here. I mean, you understand this particular idea is about gift giving, and then suddenly you're saying in this festive season traditional clothes are cheap these days. Again, cheap means in what sense? You could say economical. You want to say economical, that's fine, but cheap could be in terms of quality as well. And if they are cheap, that means the quality is quite substandard. Why do you want to buy them and gift them? That's an issue. As you mentioned in your last letter that your parents are missing the sweets of India. Sweets of India, I mean, I don't know what to make of it. So please don't write something like that. And the second thing is these two sentences, like cheap traditional clothes to sweets that the parents are missing. Again, there is no connection between these two sentences. Please let me know if I should purchase some chocolates. Again, the problem is you have just said that they must be missing some sweets of India. Chocolates are definitely sweet, not sweets of India, right? So, and practically, if you look, and IELTS examiner is not going to bother about it, but practically, if you think about it, Canada has better chocolates than what India has. So, who would get Indian chocolates to Canada? I don't know that. Alright, and then the person says, or I could bring homemade sweets which my mother prepared for Diwali. Alright, so this sentence is full of too many ideas which are not at all connected with each other. See, this sentence starts over here, as you mentioned in your letter that your parents are missing the sweets of India. Please let me know if I should purchase some chocolates or I could bring some homemade sweets which my mother prepared for Diwali. I mean, it's too many ideas in one sentence. If you have two different ideas, probably they are in same context. Please change or please have separate sentences so that logically they make sense. how can we make this a better letter? All right, let's look at that. I'm trying to preserve all the ideas. That's why I said in the beginning that mainly today we will be focusing on coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammatical range and accuracy. I am not very much into task achievement. Most of these letters have decent points, but they are lacking in overall coherence and cohesion, the way ideas are connected, the way paragraphs are connected, or even the words which are used, the phrases which are used, and the grammar which is used. So I am just focusing on these three faults in these three valuation criteria. I am trying to preserve the same ideas as much as I can. Alright, so let's look at this better version of the introduction and paragraph 1. Dear Priya, how are you? As per my last letter, I have made arrangements to visit you in Canada this January. So, this clearly states that you are going to visit your friend Priya in Canada. Very simple. Now that I have booked my tickets, I wanted a word of advice on what should I, okay, I is remaining over there, what should I give to your family? Alright, now that I have booked my tickets. So, you are again continuing from the introduction to the body paragraph 1 quite naturally. You have said I've made arrangements, and now you're saying now that I've booked my tickets, I wanted a word of advice on what should I give to your family. Currently, since we have festive season in India, the market, not marker, sorry again, the market has a variety of traditional clothes. I can pack a few for everyone. Or otherwise, as you mentioned in your last letter, I can carry some Indian traditional foods that your parents are missing in this Diwali season. Alright, so both the options are retained in our letter as well, but these typical coherence or cohesive devices, I would say, not coherence, cohesive devices are helping us to straighten these ideas out and make them quite understandable for any reader for that matter. Currently, since we have festive season in India, so we have used since to give the reason and the result. The result is the market has a variety of traditional clothes. I can pack a few for everyone. Or otherwise, as you mentioned earlier, in your last letter, I can carry some Indian traditional foods. Alright, so if you look at the sentences over here and compare over here, we have tried to make these sentences in a way that different ideas are separated in specific sentences or different sentences, and we have also ensured that we connect these sentences using specific cohesive devices, as you can see. Now we'll look at the continuation of the same letter written by the student. Okay, so just to give you perspective, the student had written, I could bring homemade sweets which my mother prepared for Diwali. Now the student says, I heard that snowfall is continuously increasing in Canada. That's a very dangerous statement, and if it is true, then it's a dangerous scenario as well. First of all, you just talked about homemade sweets and directly you jump onto the weather in Canada. Second, if the snowfall is continuously increasing, from grammatical point of view, it means that it is not going to stop very soon. And if it is increasing every day, then that's an issue. That's a major challenge over here. Should I bring warm clothes? I mean, you yourself are saying that there is snowfall. I mean, how can you ask, should I bring warm clothes? Obviously, you must bring your warm clothes. How much weight is allowed in cargo for flights for Canada? Now, there can be two ways of interpreting this particular sentence. One is, by which flight are you coming? I mean, you people usually travel in passenger flights, not in cargo flights. No, cargo flights normally, carry the cargo, the things that are there. Second thing is, the friend that you're going to is not probably not knowing all these things, or won't be knowing these particular details, so it's no point in asking her that. Anyway, the instruction is mainly about the weather, asking about the weather conditions. See, asks inquire about the weather there. So the overall purpose of this paragraph should be about the weather, and if you ask something like this, it just distracts the reader or the evaluator. Have you planned for any activities like, it should have been like, the person has written lie. I've kept the spelling error as it is. This is not typo from my side. This is the spelling mistake that person has committed. Like skiing or scuba diving. Now, who does scuba diving in winters? All right. I know people are. I mean, you must be thinking, oh, is the examiner going to look into such details? Understand, your overall letter creates an impression about what kind of a person are you. I mean, very frankly, for the examiner, this doesn't matter. If you want to do scuba diving in winter when there is continuous snowfall, it's up to you. I can't stop you. I can't stop the imagination. But overall, my understanding or my impression of such student becomes a bit diluted, and I start looking into things, or I start finding faults which are acceptable, and I start cutting marks. The person may become biased towards such writers. So there's no point in writing something which is self-contradictory. Although this does not violate any rules set up by ILTS, it's a logical thing. I mean, logical violation of the ideas, self-contradiction. So please stay away from these things. Next, are we going to some place for travel nearby Canada? Okay, going and travel are very similar ideas, right? And nearby Canada, I mean, you can say within Canada or nearby Canada, there is only US. Again, the lack of clarity is an issue here. We will plan for shopping or sightseeing. Okay, not an issue. Then how's food there? Now you just said about sightseeing. You are going to food. That's a bad transition. Will I get vegetarian food? I don't have a sweet tooth. Now, vegetarian food, sweet tooth, they are just disconnected. I mean, I can't just make out what does the person want to communicate. I don't have a sweet tooth and don't prefer sweets, but I like spicy food. Okay, I hope the restaurants will be easily accessible to try out new tastes. New tastes, again, you could say new cuisines, that's fine, but you just said that you like only spicy food. How will you be able to try new tastes or new cuisines? That's an issue. I'm looking forward for a great trip ahead. Thanks, warm regards. Again, here, the overall impression on the examiner is not that great. Now, the better way of writing the same thing could be, I guess by the time okay, before I start with that, let's look at what we have written at the end. I can carry some Indian traditional foods that your parents are missing in this Diwali season. Alright, I guess by the time I will reach there, it would be Christmas season. Now I know this is not a very nice way of connecting things, but at least you have said that okay, Diwali season, Christmas season, both are festivals. There is some common thing that you have found over there. I guess by the time I will reach there, it would be Christmas season. I hear that snowfall is quite heavy around that time. Alright, so around Christmas. So January is considered around Christmas season because most of the people are still on holidays, and that's why we could say that particular thing. All right. You must be wondering, it's in December. How can we say it's a Christmas season? It is around that part. I mean, many people are still busy celebrating Christmas over there. So I hear that snowfall is quite heavy around that time. That time means around the Christmas time. Should I carry my warm clothes, or need I buy specific sweaters over there? See, all these sentences are in a way related to weather or the time when you will be there. At least if you want to ask about clothes or the warm clothes, you can say something like this: should I carry my warm clothes, or need I buy specific sweaters over there? Now, why would you need specific sweaters? Because it's snowing over there, or the snowfall is quite heavy. And probably if you're going from India or any other country, most of the countries don't have that kind of weather, so you would need probably a specific sweater, and that you are confirming with your friend. Lastly, I'm planning to take everyone out on a day's trip. Okay, so now here, at least when you're transiting from here to here, you are making sure that now I'm starting with the new idea, which is the last one. Lastly, I'm planning to take everyone out on a day's trip. I guess since you live there, I trust on your suggestions while selecting the local destinations. Also, I wish to visit nearby cities on my own. So let me know any websites which can help me plan my itinerary. See, you have two different ideas about what you're going to do there. First is you want to take your friend and her family on day's trip. So you say that, okay, I trust on your suggestions while selecting the local destinations. That means you suggest it to me, or you select by yourself, it doesn't matter. Also, I wish to visit nearby cities on my own. I wish to travel on my own to these cities. So let me know any websites which can help me plan my itinerary. Then you say, I'm very excited to visit you and your family, eagerly awaiting your response to my bunch of queries. Thanks. Now this time you don't have exactly any request over here for your friend, because you have already requested, let me know this, suggest this. So there is no specific request, but since you are closing the letter, you can simply say, I'm very excited to visit you and your family. You can put the future contact, eagerly awaiting your response to my bunch of queries. Thanks, warm regards, whatever the name is. And the last task, which is the formal letters. Okay. You recently went on a trip and lost a valuable item which was insured. Write a letter to the insurance company. In your letter, describe the item that you lost. Tell how did you lose it. Note the actions that you would like the insurance company to take. Write at least 150 words. You do not need to write any addresses. Begin your letter as follows. The thing is, it should be dear sir or madam, because they have said write the letter to the insurance company. So most probably you won't know who is going to open the letter and read it. Right. So this is the sample that one of the students has written. In this case, what this person has done again is he has put the first two paragraphs together. So let's read it. Dear sir or madam, I am writing this letter to inform you that I have recently lost my digital camera during my holiday in Cape Town. Now remember, you are writing to insurance company, that you don't know even the gender of the person, and if you don't introduce yourself over here, it would be a bit of an issue. It is always advisable that you start the formal letter by introducing yourself. Alright. It was insured under the policy number whatever. For your information, the policy covered to cost of any item lost during journey. Again, to cost is bad grammar, first of all. Second is, this particular sentence doesn't make any sense. You are writing to insurance company that I already have insurance, and then you are telling that you should be covering, the policy should cover the cost of the items lost. I mean, they already know that. That's why they are in insurance business, right? And this sentence doesn't make any logical sense. First, second thing is you should always have exactly two sentences as far as introduction in any letter is concerned. As far as formal letter is concerned, you must have the introduction of yourself and the purpose of writing the letter. That is it. All these sentences from it was are in a way unnecessary. Alright, and then we come to the body paragraph 1 and 2. In fact, these are two instructions clubbed together in one body paragraph. So, describe the item that you lost. Tell how did you lose it. Now, I don't want you to do this particular thing in the actual exam. Please write 3 different paragraphs for 3 different instructions. This person has done it. You should not do it. It was a Canon T80 digital camera with 2 lenses, 1855mm and 180/70mm. I was carrying all of it in a black leather case with my name on it. I was sitting on the shack along the beach side as my friend was calling me to play in beach. It's never in beach, it should be on beach. Full stop. Now, this is also an issue because I just explained to you how the sentence with since should be, as is also used for the same purpose as reason result. Here again, this person has just given the reason and put the full stop. You can't do that. There should be a comma. As my friend was calling me to play on the beach, I kept the camera on the table. When I came back after an hour, I could not trace my camera. Now, obviously, if you leave something on table in public place, it is going to get stolen, or you will lose it anyhow. So, I mean, many people write like this, or many students write like this. Please try to avoid writing anything like that, alright? Rather, what should be the better way of putting this particular thing? Dear Sir or Madam, I am Arvind N from Pune. I am writing this letter to inform you that I have recently lost my digital camera, which was insured in the bracket only policy number by your company during my holidays in Cape Town. Alright, so 2 separate sentences make it very easy for the examiner to understand that first of all, this is a formal letter because you are introducing yourself. Second, the purpose of the letter is very clear, which establishes the tone of the letter further. I mean, it further helps you to establish that this is the formal letter. Next, it was a Canon D80 digital camera with 2 lenses, 1855mm and 180/70mm. I was carrying all these equipment in a black leather case with my name on it. Right? Rather than saying all of these in a black leather case, rather than saying that, you should say equipment. Next, in British English, there is no word as equipments. Equipment is singular as well as plural. On the other hand, if you look at the American dictionary, you will find equipments. It's up to you really whether you want to write equipment or equipments. Generally, people nowadays don't pay much attention to that. I have written this in such a way so that I can explain this particular word to you in regular usage. How do we use it? Okay. I reached the shack with my camera to meet my friends. Now, you just explained the camera, and if you can connect that camera somehow in the first sentence in body paragraph 2, it would make much better sense. I reached the shack with the camera to meet my friends. After a while, we went for a swim. After a while, we went for a swim. When I left it, it means what? The camera. Left it on with. On is not necessary. Left it with. I'm sorry. Okay. Left it with the shack manager. After my swim, I learned that it was stolen from the manager's office. Immediately, I complained in police, who could not find the culprit even after watching the CCTV footage. So, in this particular paragraph, you are assuring the insurance company that I have already taken a lot of steps before writing to you. I tried my hard to ensure that my camera is retrieved, but still I was not able to retrieve the camera, get it back, and that's why I am approaching you. Any questions, guys? Alright. Now again we go back to the letter by the student. The student writes, since the policy cover the lost items, I request you to approve my claim for the full amount of the camera, which is $1,500. I have enclosed a copy of policy purchase bills. There should be "and" over here. I look forward to hear from you. Yours faithfully, Arvindan. Again, this is very abrupt. First of all, now if you are requesting to approve the claim, do you, I don't know whether there is a form or anything like that. You should at least ask, do you want any form to be filled in, or what is the case? How to approach for filing for the claim, because you might need other things as well. So, you can put it better in a better fashion. As a last resort, that means as the last solution or the option, I wish to claim for the items lost. Okay. As a last resort, I wish to claim for the items lost. Kindly let me know the details of the procedure so that I can make for the losses. For your reference, I have enclosed a copy of policy and purchase bills. Okay. Even I made the same mistake. And purchased bills. If you want to add something to this, you can definitely say I have enclosed a copy of policy, purchase bills, and the FIR with the police station. Okay, so you can add that as well. I request you to take appropriate actions. I look forward to hearing from you. You don't write I look forward to hear from you. You always write I look forward to hearing from you. Thanking you in advance. Yours faithfully, Arvind N.